as we all know, Ortega is very tough. Like we saw the beating he takes against Holloway, and like a lot of the fights he's in, he's getting pieced up, and then he just manages to pull out the victory in that. But a lot of the times he's done stuff like that if people making mistakes. And the worst thing you want to be is a fighter who capitalizes on mistakes against someone like Volko because he doesn't make mistakes. His fight IQ is so high. But how I actually think it's going to go, I think it's just going to come down to the actual pace of a fight and the fitness. I think the first maybe 1 or 2 rounds, it's gonna be close. Like obviously you can't the Taker's improved a lot, but I think during the sort of third, fourth, and even like the championship rounds is when you're really gonna see Ortega. He's gonna sort of he might start here and Volko might start here, and then he goes here, and it's just they're just going to be on a different level, sort of thing. So for the actors, that's how I think it's going to play. I think Volko is going to slowly crumble him, and I think around late third to early fourth round stoppage for Volko.
Nice. And it's kind of like how I've picked it because I've been talking to a few people about it and I kind of said the same thing. I said it's kind of crazy, right? Because Ortega, you got to worry about the jits, right? Volk's good wrestling, right? Then obviously everyone points at Ortega's last performance against the Zombie, but then you look at what Volk did with Max Holloway in the striking. So I'm kind of like, it is a bit of a coin flip, but where I think the difference is going to be made is the work rate. And I just see that wherever it goes, I just feel like Volk is going to kind of use those assault bike sessions and really just outwork him. And that's kind of how I see it. Do you feel that the inactivity, though, is going to play a part? Because I saw a stat this morning that I think both have been over 12 months since they've last been in the cage, right? So they've both had some extended time off. Do you think that's going to play sort of any role in this fight?
Me personally, I'm not a big believer in that ring rust sort of thing. Obviously, the nerves and that sort of thing, but once someone like Volko, like he's got it down to a T. He knows what works. He knows how to get in that zone of sharp. I think inactivity sort of depends. If you're 12 months out with a major injury, say you do your ACL, you got say 3 months out completely. Then you have 3 months where you're actually just getting very strength in that back. Then you have 6 months where you're getting everything back. So even though you might have that 12 months layoff, 6 months of that was barely doing anything. Where it's not like Volko's been off. Obviously, I think he might have had 1 to 2 months lower due to the COVID. But besides that, like he's been putting in work. He's been doing the sparring. He's been doing everything like that. I think ring rust is a thing if you're coming back from injuries or if you haven't been putting in the correct work, which some people might slack off that session. They might sort of take the easier round or something. But with someone like Bolko, it's not even a question sort of thing. Like I think he could not fight. He could not fight for another say 12 months, and he's going to look exactly the same as he looked in the sort of Max's fight. It's exactly how he's going to carry on this. If not, I honestly think he's going to look even better.
And there's no sort of lingering issues with the COVID. I mean, you know, because some people talk about like that they have a lingering lung issue long after the fact that they've passed the COVID. The Crown. No, seriously, it's my first strike ever. I'm like, why did you guys strike me? And we didn't even say anything.
Ridiculous, eh?
We didn't even say anything bad, and they're like, it goes against our policies. So, like, I do apologize, YouTube.
Sorry,
but yeah, yeah, like there's been no link because, and I only asked that because obviously the coughing of the blood, like, so it seems like he had a pretty bad case of it. Like, there's no lingering issues there.
No, I think there was one time when we first got back to quarantine, and it was like day 2 or 3, and we ended up doing an assault bike session, like one of the hard ones, outdoors, and that cooked both of us. Like I thought I had asthma. Volko was like dying, like it was horrible. I was on the floor, like barely being able to breathe. But that was purely we went from 3 months in Vegas heat, like super dry, 40 degrees, to 6 degrees Sydney weather in a high-rise apartment on a balcony, smashing ourselves in an assault bike. But we did the same session inside 2 days later, and we were sweet. I think people, I'm not sure, but for fighters and that who do have like the longer cases, I think their biggest problem is they try to go back too soon and they go too hard too soon. Volko was working. Well, lucky when we were over in Vegas, Volko was still working with everyone at the PI, getting lots of good sort of, I'd say, high level advice from people who knew what they were talking about, was following that advice correctly. So his path to recovery is completely fine. So there is like zero doubt in my mind that there's like any lingering signs or anything like that. Like it won't be a factor whatsoever.